Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the COD piece. Gandhi, joined by Mr. X, as always, the usual crew here. Matt, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Kind of bummed. Titanfall beta's over. I got nothing to play, but, for now, just waiting, hanging out.
Oh, God. Well, we do have one show dedicated to other games, but this one, we're talking solely about Call of Duty for all you fans out there. Last week, we covered the first half of the bracket, which was all a hypothetical bracket. We're not still sure how the entire seed's going to be done, but I'm pretty sure everyone's kind of safe to assume that it's all going to be done on pro points.
Yeah, I would say that pro points pretty much the only system they could go by. I mean, they could do pool play, I guess. I think the bigger thing is what system it's going to be played on. They haven't really... did they announce it was going to be 360?
No, they have not announced which one it's going to be, and we'll obviously get into that at the end of the piece. But so here is the hypothetical bracket we were talking about that was made just a little bit ago by the very own UGC crew. So we already covered the left side of the bracket, which features Complexity, Final Boss, SB, Denial, Optic Gaming, Elevate, Envious, and TVA. As you see on the right side, we have a whole nother list of teams that we have to start with, and I think the best team to start off with here, Matt, has to be, we'll start at the top and kind of work our way down, or you want to, we'll go top.
Yeah, let's do that. Top, work way down.
All right, so without further ado, let's meet Curse Las Vegas. Curse Las Vegas, everyone knows these guys. This is 3/4 of the COD champs, Black Ops 2 winners. You have Killa, Miracles, and Parasite, and they're joined by Ricky. Matt, what are your thoughts about this team as it stands right now?
On paper, they should be the clear-cut second-best team. I don't think anyone would argue against that. I mean, you have 3/4 of the guys from Impact from last year's winning team, and Ricky's a very good player in his own right. But, watching them play online, there seems to be a lot of that friction coming up between them. We saw that a lot, when they reformed at the end of Black Ops 2 a little bit, that, stuff, Killa and Parasite, that stuff just keeps coming up.
Yeah, they have one of those weird, unique loves that's kind of found in like trailer parks. But I think we all have kind of got accustomed to how they work. But like I coached Curse Las Vegas at Columbus. It's a much different team now than it was. But I did get to work Parasite and Miracles. Miracles, which a lot of people may not know, really there's a lot of weight on him as a player for this team. And what I mean by that is as soon as he gets negative or gets down on himself, which a lot of people have seen. I mean, I think at Columbus, I watched him fake punch a monitor, and I was like, Miracles, buddy, come on. And a lot of people kind of look at Miracles and say, okay, if he's crushing, then everything else, we don't have to worry about anything. We'll be able to crush with him. So I think a lot about where he is mentally is going to take a toll on the team. But I think you're right, man. Online, things just seem a little bit iffy. What do you think that's about, Matt?
I think a little bit of it is that, some of the players, Killa seems maybe he might be a little bit tired of the game, just tired of dealing. And I don't know if it's tired of the game or, when you play with a player like Parasite, he's so demanding of everybody else. He likes to do things kind of his way, and that, Killa probably thinks his way probably works a little bit better. I saw actually a YouTube video the other day where they had a huge argument, and Killa was going off on Parasite. Pretty much was your strats get you top 12, mine get top 3 type of thing. I think as a player, it as well. When you're playing with a team, you have to buy into how the team wants to play. If you don't really want to play the way the other people feel, it just never really works out.
I think that's a little bit worrisome for all the Curse Mob fans out there, but luckily for them, they still have Curse New York too, which they seem to do just Johnny crushing everyone, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get into them later. But when I look at Curse Las Vegas, I sit back and I say to myself, okay, what's the one thing that's completely wrong with this team?
Right?
What's the one thing? And their main thing, normally we see teams and we're like, okay, Complexity, their blitz game's amazing, right? And then Optic Gaming's, they have a good search and destroy game now with the addition of Clayster and Embos, right? So we're starting to see that, but with Curse Las Vegas, I never know which curse is going to show up. I don't know if it's going to be the crazy crushers on respawn, or they're going to solely rely on search and destroy.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
It's night and day. I mean, it really just depends on how they wake up. If they wake up in like a good mood, they get on and everybody's feeling good. It clicks. Like they're extremely good. But some days you just you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I know,
it's
man.
really scary going into a 2-day LAN event to go to champs.
Yeah,
with that type of.
And as everyone knows now, I don't know if everyone heard the rules on coaching, but basically coaches. Matt, what exactly was the full thing? I can't remember verbatim as to what you said.
You're not allowed in the booth. You're not allowed in the ropes, and you can pretty much only talk in between matches. So they're pretty much like a spectator.
Yeah. So what that means is no longer will you be seeing coaches behind anyone at regionals or Call of Duty champs. And I think this is a team, Curse Las Vegas, who actually takes a hit from this. Because when I looked at them and when I coached them, when you coach, you kind of get this like weird bond with your team where you're like, okay, you know how to like talk to them, and you're like, dude, step it up. You can say step it up to some people, and other people are like, dude, you're crushing. Even if they're playing average, you're just like, dude, you're crushing them. And they just like feed into it, and they become this like Super Saiyan monster, right? And that's what we're looking to see here from coaches, and they're going to be taken out. So when I look at Curse Las Vegas, I say they have one hell of a road, assuming that the bracket stands the way it is right now. Yeah. And I'm worried for, man. I think if there's an upset that could happen, I think Curse Las Vegas doesn't make it to COD champs.
That would be a crazy turn of events, right? You make this super team of guys who won last year and then not make it the second year. That would be a crazy turn of events. I think they'll get there. I don't think it's going to be a smooth way. I think that there's going to be some bumps in the road. Yeah,
for sure, man. I think so. I think we kind of all know how I feel about Curse Las Vegas right now. And granted, it's all online, and that's the thing that sucks. This is the thing that sucks about our predictions is that when you look at a team, like just for instance, and this is going completely off track, when you look at a team like TK, Sharp online is maybe one of the worst online players to date. He is. Much. And on LAN, he crushes. Like, there's never been a single event where I said, wow, Sharp, you really underperformed. Right? It doesn't happen. So we have to look at it as, okay, it's online, but this is the only way we can accurately, or not even accurately predict. This is the only way we're able to predict how a team's going to do, and all we're looking for is tendencies. So that's Curse Las Vegas. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and move on to one of the fan favorites in FaZe. FaZe, everyone knows him. Classic, JCap, Proofy, and Replays. Matt, this team, a little bit of controversy when they picked up Proofy, right? Because everyone's kind of like, oh, JCap's an AR player, so is Proofy. How's this team going to work out? How are they looking, my man?
They're actually looking pretty good. They use a ton of nades. A lot of them use double nades, double stuns. It really pisses a lot of teams off. But it's working. You got to remember last year around Call of Duty Championship times, Proofy and JCap were a dominant duo for Envy.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
If you went back and watched that series, Envy probably should have won champs last year. That last map against Impact, some crazy stuff went on. Impact went huge. There's nothing taken away from that. But, Envy played out of their minds at that event. And, I mean, these two players were a huge reason why. And I think Classic had an amazing Columbus. He had a pretty good event at Philly. And, Replays he's one of the smarter OBJ players in the game, just knows how to play Call of Duty as a whole. So, I mean, they're looking, this could be a surprising, a team that a lot of people don't expect to place in the top, say, 3 to 4 that I think can get in there.
Well, the funny thing is so FaZe went through a plethora of team changes, just like the rest of the teams, right? Like, there's not a single exception anymore. Even Complexity made a team change. So I'm just roping them all into one category, and every team made team changes. FaZe did have Nameless on their team, right? And when Nameless joined, he was running an AR in Curse Las Vegas. And then when he joined this squad, he was kind of like, okay, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go back to being a sub because that's what I crushed with, which was, for me, was like, what the hell is happening to him? Because he had such a good Philadelphia event. But that's not the point. And so when I was talking to him, I was like, how are you liking FaZe? And he goes, Classic may be one of the best individual players I've seen to date.
Yeah.
And that, I was just like, wow, shocker.
No, he is, man. When I saw him at Columbus, they picked him up him and Replays, they actually live like right in my area, maybe like 10 minutes. And I think the way that they picked him up at the beginning of the game is that him, Replays, and Classic were like friends in real life. Classic played Modern Warfare 2. He was like a god. And then didn't play Black Ops 1, didn't play Black Ops 2, didn't play Modern Warfare 3, and then came back for this game. And I mean, when I saw him in Columbus, I was like, oh, I don't really know too much about this guy. This guy was killing it.
Yeah.
Like, killing it. And I mean, dude, I have to agree with Nameless. Like, as a Slayer, Classic is one of the better players, one of the more underrated players, I think, that is playing on the pro circuit.
I agree. And so as we take a look here at the bracket, which is all hypothetical, right? FaZe will be playing off or facing off against Curse New York. And the winner of that plays Curse Las Vegas or ADV. Right there, as good as FaZe looks, that's got to be a little bit worrisome.
Yeah, you know, Curse New York, that's a team that we were going to talk about before. They've been playing really well online, man. I mean,
yeah,
you know, it is online, like we were saying before.
It's such a pain.
But with the E-Girls Slayers, they had a pretty good run at Philadelphia, and they were pretty much the same team except just changing BL Fire for Nex.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I believe they got fourth with the E-Girls Slayers, fourth or fifth.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's going to be a crazy match between them and FaZe first round. I think the winner of that could beat LV second round. Well, that's what I was thinking. The second round.
Coming up after this quick commercial break, we are going to discuss Curse New York. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. In the first half, we just covered Curse Las Vegas and a little bit of FaZe, and now we're going to talk about the team who should be facing off against FaZe, Curse New York. Let's go ahead and meet this team. Curse New York consists of BL Fire, Burns Off, Mochilla, and Revan. Matt, this team is causing absolute chaos online for a lot of people. I mean, I try to mess around with the little MLG bracket predictions in their little online league, and I was like, Curse New York, it's kind of always been like the sister team, right? Like, it was like the redheaded stepchild that no one really talked about for a while, and then now it's like, wow, Curse New York might be better. Tell me about this team.
Yeah, you know, they look to be, I was going to say the same thing. When them and LV were picked up as the Curse teams, you know, LV was looked at as the main Curse team. But, you know, right now, this NY squad is playing online. They're playing better. Revan, Mochilla, and Burnsoff were former members of the E-Girls Slayer squad from Philadelphia. You know, Revan, former caster with me on Pro Scrims for a while. I mean,
a caster across the board, too. I mean, Revan's a guy who, he's young, which is, a lot of people kind of get misled by that just because, you know, he was doing casting for about 2 years. And so whenever you make the switch over to the caster side, everyone's just like, oh, you're 30. Right? But obviously, like, Revan's aging well because people just thought he was like 24, which is my age. But people think I'm like 32. It's whatever. It's not a big deal.
Revan's got great reaction time for a 30-year-old man.
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy about Revan was as I sat down and I had a talk with him at Columbus, and he was like, you know, I think there's a chance where I could be on Curse New York. And I was like, yeah, def, dude. Like, cool story, man. No one believes you. And he was like, no, but seriously, like, I am good at this game. I just don't know if it's of my best interest to be a caster or a player. And I said, if you have the skill and you have the time to put into it, always be a player. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, no, you know, before Columbus, you know, Revan came to me and he was like, you know, I think I might have a spot on Curse New York. Like, what do you think I should do? And I was like, well, what do you think? I was like, do you want to play? He's like, yeah. He's like, I think I can play still. I was like, well, you're still young. Like, the casting will always be there. You have the experience already. I mean, just give it a shot if you think you can do it. And I mean, clearly he had. I mean, they had an amazing event at Philadelphia. I think they ran all the way through Open, and then they beat TK, I want to say, in the first round of Champ. And, you know, they made it all the way to that 4-5 game. You know, that I believe the last game they lost, it was to SB for 4-5. Yeah. And it was 3-2, and it was pretty close. I mean, they could have easily finished in the top 2 or 3, you know, with just a one-game difference. So, you know, Mochilla crushed it at Philly. they're going to need him to have a really nice event.
He is really, really, really talented of a player. And the one thing I got to say, I mean, when E-Girls Slayer went to Philly, I don't know why I put it in quotes, but when E-Girls Slayer was like, oh yeah, they don't crush E-Girls, right? Whatever. Moving forward. When E-Girls Slayers went to Philly, I think I speak on kind of like behalf of everyone who was on the outside looking in and never scrimmed against them. Everyone's kind of like, these guys are just like here to have fun. I don't think they're taking this serious. And then I think that caught a lot of teams off guard. But the thing that we really saw about E-Girl Slayer is that they're able to go the distance. And by that I mean they went through the open bracket. They went through the open bracket and continued on for the rest of the time. And, you know, we had all those technical difficulties on Friday and Saturday. I mean, these players were playing very early, and then not to mention the bomb threat, which was a freaking blast, wasn't it? Sitting out cold, freezing my tits off.
I know, jacket.
I was out there with a freaking shirt and a blazer. It looked like just a moron.
You looked beautiful.
I did look pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. But so now you take the same squad, and then you put Curse New York in front of it. How do you think that changes other teams' perceptions of this squad?
Oh, people aren't going to get caught off guard by this squad anymore. I think that's one of the things they had going for them at Philly, that everyone was like, oh, the team name is E-Girl Slayers, you know. Everyone just kind of assumed they're just like showing up, just trying to see how good they can get.
Yeah.
I think it was almost, for Revan probably almost looked at it as, well, like, you know, I'll go with this team, see how well I do, and then you know, have a really good performance, probably end up on like Curse New York. I highly doubt he thought that his entire team pretty much would end up being Curse New York, but people aren't going to be caught off guard by them anymore.
Hey, I'm gonna cut in here just because I think the whole Curse Las Vegas and like Curse New York name is starting to get like a little silly for me, right?
Yeah.
And like, I love the Curse guys, right? Like, I love that entire organization. Blev Dog's one of the nicest guys in the world. But, like, they're not from Las Vegas, and they're, like, one person, like, two people are from New York. Like, what, like, can we
Miracles is from Vegas. Miracles
from Vegas. One person is. Like, the whole thing, do you remember when the Curse Org launched and everyone's like, there's going to be a team house in Las Vegas and in New York, and everyone was like, where the hell is this money coming from, right? Like, are you funded by the Mexican drug cartel? Obviously not, because when you
coming from the gods.
Yeah, when you got into it, it was like, oh my God, Curse is humongous, and they have so much money. They're a great organization. But being like FPS people, we don't know that. We're just like, okay, yeah, sure. So I would almost want to just change the name to like Curse A and Curse B. It's just my little rant I wanted to go on, man. I just, like, they're not in the house.
Yeah, but you can't do that, though, because then the team with the B is going to be really really slighted by that. would you play for as a team with B behind it? There's no way. I'd rather pay for myself. That's just, I'm stubborn. I'd rather pay for myself than play on a B team.
Well, what if it was like Curse East versus Curse West? What about the coasts, right?
Perfectly fine. Curse East, Curse West.
Okay. Done. All right, now Matt, I'm gonna throw you on the hot seat right now. I'm gonna keep this right on your face, right? Look at you. FaZe versus Curse New York. Who takes it? Best of 5 regionals. Oh, look at that. Look at that pondering look.
FaZe. I'm going to say FaZe.
Okay, why?
You know, I think as a whole roster, you look at it, I think that it'll probably come down to the matchup of players between Replays and Burnsoft for each team. Mm-hmm. You know, I think Replays makes big plays when it matters. You don't know about Burnsoft. You know, in a big match like that, coming right out of the gate, you know, it's really hard to get the blood going, like, right away.
Yeah.
When you have that first match of the weekend, it's hard to get it going. You know, Proofy and Cap, they're really experienced players. I think they're going to have that sense of urgency right off the bat, and I think that's gonna help them get over NY. Yeah, but I do think NY is going to make it, though.
Yeah, I think NY makes it, but I think they take the first round loss. I really do. And it's not because I don't think Curse New York's better or worse than FaZe. When I look at FaZe, like, Proofy, a lot of people in this community have the ability of just forgetting what happened at one event just because of the most recent one. Proofy was dropping just bombs at Columbus. Like, he was insane. He was shooting lasers everywhere and just decapitating people. So with that said, I think Proofy is going to have one of the best events because he rises when he's supposed to. He's a veteran. That's what happens. So I think I go with you there with the phase. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into our next team. Team Kaliber. My son's on this team, and by my son, I, of course, mean Formal.
The adopted son.
Yeah, the adopted son. Formal, Goonjar, Sharp, and Theory. A little bit of controversy about this team as of lately, and by controversy, I mean a lot of people don't know what to expect from this squad because online's so iffy for them. Matt, do you have any, before we even talk about the team, I want to just address this. Do you have a worry about TK going into regionals?
You know, a little bit. You know, you see online, they're not playing the best, but you got to look at it as, I mean, Sharp's internet runs basically off of like a windmill outside. I mean, this guy, like, I don't even know how he's considered to be on cable internet.
Yeah, dude, this is so funny. Your Skype froze, by the way. I'm not changing it at all. Yeah, when you get it. Okay, it's good now. It's so funny. It was awesome. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Sharp's internet on a
Sharp's
thing.
Internet, run by a windmill, you know, out in the fields of Kentucky. It's hard to judge them online. And, you know, they've never been a great online team.
No.
You know, they're never going to be with one player who has that awful of a connection. Talent-wise, they're stacked.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, I think they're stacked.
I think when I look at TK, I sit back and I say, okay, 3 of these players have been consistently placing in the top 4 since the whole Team Kaliber basically came to fruition, right? Theory, Sharp, Goonjar. Those 3 players have been in the top 4 since this team has formed. Most recently, they've only been in the top 2, right?
Right.
So when I look at those 3, I'm like, okay, there's no way in hell this team's going to underperform on LAN. And it's not even a concern. The person to watch, obviously I'm going to be slightly biased here, is my son Formal. He's got a lot of pressure, though, going on him. Right?
It's fun.
And being the father, I'm going to berate him a lot. He has a lot of pressure. Not only is he a Halo player switching over, but he's a Halo player switching over to the second-place team who hasn't placed outside of the top 2 in this game.
Yeah.
That's a big freaking chip to have on your shoulders.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you know, the pressure for him to just perform. I mean, the only way that he can better that team's placing were for them to win. You know.
Yeah.
Because they've been just getting constant seconds. Like the only thing he can do to really, I guess, solidify that move would be get second again and look better, or win. And I mean, that's a huge burden, especially when it's pretty much all on one guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up the graphic because I forget who they play first. I want to say it is going to be Living the Dream, and it is. Okay, so they are going to be playing Living the Dream round 1. I think for TK, assuming this is the bracket, by the way, I always have to say that because we have no idea how it's seeded and we don't know what console it's being played on. But anyways, moving forward. Looking at it, I think TK, if this is their round 1 matchup, there is no reason as to why they should not be able to casually walk themselves into the second round.
No, I agree. You know, Living the Dreams, made up of Fears, Wheats, Looney, and Pac-Man, you know, veteran players. But, you know, there's no... If TK were to lose that match, it would be a monumental collapse. I mean, there's no possible way I can see them losing that match.
Yeah. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, more. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the COD piece. Gandhi, Mr. X, breaking down the COD news for you. So we just covered the top 4 teams on the right side of the bracket. And now, without further ado, we are going to jump into our next team, which is going to be Team Justice.
Yeah, and you know, the Justice squad, it's made up of Stainville, Gucci, Tipsy, and Neslo, formerly of TK. And, you know, they were looking for that 4th guy for a while. They were trying out a bunch of people. You know, Proofy was actually playing with them after he left Envy. You know, after the whole team changes, you know, Goon going to TK, the whole mess that all the team changes were. They ended up with Neslo, and this is a very underrated team, Scott.
Yeah, I think. One, I completely screwed up the graphic. I spelled it Nelso.
Nelso, I like that though.
Nelso, I think he should change it. I think he's right now like Nestle on Twitter, right? Like,
right.
That's like the combined with your whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways,
sounds like a Muppet.
Justice, super underrated. But I think the thing that's scary, and I know a lot of people were kind of like a little bit caught off guard as to why Neslo got dropped from TK. And if you weren't paying attention, Neslo used to be on Team KALIBER. They dropped him for outside reasons, not necessarily his gameplay. But Neslo is one of the most dedicated players in Call of Duty to date, period. He doesn't care about fame. He doesn't care about making like money on YouTube videos. Like, sure, that's an added bonus for him. All he wants to do is win. He looked at me when I first met him at UMG Atlanta, and he was basically like, I am going to grind this game every single day until I become the best player. And when you drop a player like that from your team, and you put him on a team who's up and coming like Justice, you're going to get a very dedicated team who's going to turn a lot of heads, Matt.
Right, and Justice finished in the top 8 at Columbus. So, they had a rough Philly event, but Gucci and Tipsy are two of the most underrated players. They play extremely weird, On Octane, they like to throw like a million smokes, just mess the whole map up. And Stainville has that experience that could kind of guide them through, all the pressure of a big event like this. I mean, Neslo also has experience after being in the finals the last few events and, placing in the top 4 consistently.
Well, the one thing that is weird about Justice's gameplay is there's some times where they, like, contradict themselves. Like you said on Octane. I've seen them throw nothing but smokes and then no one run a thermal.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they do a lot of things that are, like, polar opposite of one another.
Weird.
And at the same time, like, I'll see them throw smokes and then, like, maybe one person will have incog on. And I'm like, what's going on here? Why is that happening? But it's working out for them. I think their search game, they kind of remind me of the TK of Black Ops 2. Their search game's mean. They bring a mean search game from what I've seen. But on top of that, I think Blitz for the majority of teams is a 50-50 call based on the break. And we can kind of say the same thing for Dom. But I think Domination Respawn is like the game type where if I'm going against Justice, like, I'm a little bit worried because you have 4 players you can blow up at any time. You have no idea what to expect.
No, absolutely. I think you pretty much hit it spot on. Any one of these players could go off, but at the other point is you're going to need one of them every game to consistently drop those numbers. And, you're not going to get a guarantee. Like, you look at a team like Complexity or like Optic, you know what Karma's going to give you every game. You know what Clayster and Scump are going to give you every game. Justice, there's no guarantee for anybody.
No.
That's the scary part.
The scary thing was I was watching them play yesterday against Complexity, and they found themselves down like 5-1 in search on Warhawk.
Yeah.
And then like Neslo was just like, screw it. They went on offense, and he was like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna bring out a sniper because why not? I'm going to throw the thermal on.
Whatever,
and bang it out. He gets like 1 kill, then scraps another at like, not a clutch, but he just like kills the guy, right? And he goes into the next round. And then before you know it, it's like 5-4, and Neslo has like 11 kills, and everyone's just like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And those are the players that you got to be like, wow, if he catches fire, because when you don't have like a set movement, or you don't have like, if you're not, what's the word I'm thinking here for, Matt? If you're not stereotyped as a player.
Right.
If you're not stereotyped as like a Slayer, a guy who's going to rip your face off with a sniper, and then all of a sudden he pulls it out and he's destroying you, you don't know how to react. You're like, is he going to run it again? There's no way he's going to run it again. He got lucky. He got lucky, right?
Yeah, that's the thing with these guys. They play so unorthodox. You don't know what you're going to get in what spot every round.
It's crazy. So how, on the whole, Matt, how do you see Justice doing here?
One of these teams is going to end up not qualifying.
Obviously.
I mean,
Thanks, John.
Well, I would say there's about 10 teams that you could say or 12 teams that you pretty much would say normally would be like a lock, like last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, last year 16 teams invited. You know, they may be it's a tough one because you don't know how they're going to come out. Like,
well, here, I'll help you out here, and I'll throw up this bracket for you real quick. Let me see that bracket, Mr. Director. When you are ready, I have to. I just do things not on the cusp just to see if he's paying attention. All right, so Justice plays Sigma round 1, and the winner of this hypothetical again. I'm gonna get tired of saying that. They need to release the damn brackets. Is what needs to happen.
I know, right?
Anyways, hypothetically, Justice would play Sigma. Winner of that plays TK, assuming TK wins.
They'll beat Sigma.
Okay.
Now, that match against TK is going to be extremely. There's going to be some animosity there. That could be an upset right there. You know, how many times have we seen like a guy get dropped from a team and like he goes absolutely bonkers against them?
Yeah, the one thing I was going to say, which doesn't seem to be like the case necessarily in COD, is when a player gets dropped from a team and they don't you do this to me, PC? You have one job. Yes! Matt, you still there, buddy?
Yes. Yeah, what happened?
Windows tried to pull an update on me, and I had to hit him with the quickness. You know how it is. I had to do it. But anyways, we were talking about how when a player gets dropped and he plays that team, he ends up beating them. But that doesn't seem to really be the case here in COD, which is a little bit, peculiar.
Weird.
Yeah. It's odd. But so anyways, dude, that's Justice down. Where do you see Justice versus TK, that matchup?
It's really just going to depend on how Formal plays. That'll be his first. Who did we say they play first round? Living the Dream. Okay, so they'll handily beat Living the Dream. The Justice match will be his first real test, I think, on Call of Duty.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been tested online, obviously, but like we've been seeing, online is completely different. That'll be his first real big LAN Call of Duty match.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and meet Living the Dream here. Living the Dream, kind of a pretty cool name. I actually like that. I always think of Wedding Crashers here, right? Yeah, Wedding Crashers. You got Will Ferrell there, almost nunchucked you. It consists of Fears, Looney, Pac-Man, and Wheats. Now, Wheats is a player who I actually kind of like watching. I watched him a little bit here and there, but he's got one of those like really unusual playing styles because you get so used to like how ARs play and how subs play, and he just seems to kind of be like all over the place at like all times.
Yeah, I mean, this team basically how it came to be was Wheats, Looney, and Pac-Man were part of Fear, and they never actually made it. They made it to UMG Dallas. They went to that event. I don't know how well they did. And then after that...
Fear, they got 5th at UMG Dallas in Black Ops 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so or 6th. 5th,
6th or 6th. Okay, so they got 5, 6. After that event, they were supposed to keep going to more of the events, and, just stuff kind of, fell apart with that Fear brand. So they were looking for that 4th player, and SB had dropped Fears. And then I think Fears was trying out with Justice for a little bit, and then he ended up on Living the Dream. But, Fears is a very talented player in his own right. It's great for SB, really good AR. Usually he's one of the best players at the beginning of the games, and then his drive just kind of deteriorates the play. So it'll be interesting to see how much practice they actually get going into regionals.
I think Living the Dream is one of those teams who they have a very, very tough round 1 with Team KALIBER, but assuming that, because the losers bracket, you basically go into it and the bracket flips and you go on the other side. Basically, so their round 1 matchups in the losers bracket would probably be looking like something like Final Boss, something like that, and then they're gonna have a very, very, very tough time coming through the losers bracket, and it sucks because Living the Dream does have the potential of doing it, but I think if you're a betting man like we both are, I think you can safely say Living the Dream has an early exit in the losers bracket and then with a run that stops a little bit short. I would love to see them do well, but I just don't see it in their cards.
No, I would love to see them do well too. Fears is a great guy, amazing player. So is Pac-Man and Wheats, but like you're saying, that first matchup is pretty difficult. And then even going into losers, I mean, they match up against like a team like Final Boss in the first round. That's not exactly an easy win, I would say. A game where they can guarantee themselves into the next round. But it's very difficult, Scott, because all these teams for regionals are all pretty good. It's really just going to come down to individual matchups with who's going to get who in the bracket.
Yeah, and I think obviously living the dream, the best case scenario for them is they go the distance with TK and then maybe try to get him sleeping. I mean, who knows, right? Like, TK doesn't look good online. Everyone knows that. Everyone's agreed that, like, oh, TK does not look good online. So with that said, I mean, maybe they'll catch him sleeping. I highly doubt it. And when I say highly doubt it, I mean, like, I'm 99% sure. So it may be a little bit tough on living the dream, especially watching this. You're going to be like, oh, how dare they not credit us with, like, an event win, man? Like, who do they think they are? But it's, it is what it is. I mean, this team was put together, what, a couple days before online qualifiers, right?
Yeah, the three of them were playing together, Wheats, Pac-Man, and Looney, and then Fears maybe, like, a week before the qualifier, 2 weeks before the qualifier, so pretty new team.
Yeah, so new team going into one of the biggest events in North American history and worldwide history with COD Champs. Not looking the best. I mean, we saw that kind of happen with Fear as they went into the online qualifier, and they were just kind of like, oh, yeah, we just put together a pickup team. That's why I got 3-0'd by Final Balls. Not the case. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a commercial break. When we come back, more. Stay tuned. We're still here at the COD piece. UGC Studios, Gandhi, joined by Mr. X. Matt, we have 2 final teams left before we get into our round 1 predictions. We've come so far. And the best part is it's all hypothetical, right? Like, we did a whole show on a hypothetical bracket. Isn't that awesome?
I would be extremely mad at John Nelson, Christopher Puckett if they release something that's not the exact bracket that we've been going over.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's go ahead and meet Sigma, which may not actually be going as Sigma at all. Which
right,
is,
yeah. I think actually I'm going to bring up one of their Twitter accounts. I think they're actually going as another organization.
Yeah, well, right? you figured that out. So this team's going to consist of Mutation, Pluto, Saint, and Slasher. Sigma, looking at them as a whole, is going to be super overlooked going into COD Champs. Yeah, Pluto's a hell of a player, and this whole team seems to be clicking. Well, obviously they made it to the regional event. But this team's still going to be, they're just going to be overlooked, just like Living the Dream, which could play to their factor. But I want to bring up the bracket real quick because I forget who exactly Sigma plays first. And Sigma actually plays Justice. So we were talking about it, and Justice is a team who's very, very unorthodox, and you have no idea what to expect. Sigma's kind of on that same boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That game, actually, I could see Sigma winning that game.
Yeah?
I could see Sigma beating Justice first time. Yeah, Sigma's been on fire online. Mutation and Pluto have been playing out of their minds. And, Saint, he's very loud. He's a lot like Clayster in a way, where he keeps, like, getting his team fired up. Like, he's, like, a crazy guy. And they've been meshing well online. Mutation, former national champion, too. So, I mean, there is some winning experience there. I wouldn't be surprised if, that might be, I'm going to have to pick an upset for the first round. That would be my one.
Wow.
I would say Sigma beats Justice.
Okay, so is this like if you have to pick an upset round 1? Or are you saying, like, you think this is going to happen? Because this is 2 totally different things, Matthew.
I think it'll happen. I think Sigma will win that match. I think it'll be really close. I think Sigma will win that match, though.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look at our final team of the second half of the bracket, Adversity. Adversity, ADV for short, Diabolic, Groundzer, Cosmo with a K and a Z, and Sender. ADV, a team who basically went through the entire open bracket at UMG. They beat teams like Final Boss, who they find on the other side of the bracket. So if they do find themselves in the losers bracket versus them, I think they're going to be a little bit confident going into that matchup. But at the same time, I mean, ADV, I don't know what to predict, Matt. Like, I really, like, I can't, like, I sit here and I think, when I hear ADV, I'm like, I don't know, like, what to say about them. Like, I really don't.
Yeah, they're not really too big on, streamers. They're not really the biggest names. They're very good players. Sender's extremely good. Cosmo's extremely good. They ended up they beat Optic in Columbus first round, I believe. It was 3-1, I want to say. Yeah, and it was pretty handily too. So, we played them in Philly also. It was 3-1, but it was pretty close. They put up a good game, and I believe they knocked Optic out again in Philly. So this is a team that...
Elevate knocked them out.
Oh, no, Elevate. You're right. Sorry. This is a team that can hang with the higher echelon teams. They just don't have those big name players. That's why people kind of overlook this team.
Yeah, well, I do have a problem for you, Matt. Take a look at this graphic, bro. Their round 1 matchup as it stands, Adversity taking on Curse Las Vegas. Now, this is the one thing I want to say, right? And so we both were kind of like, Curse Las Vegas doesn't seem to be that dominant of a team. And, we're seeing the clash of personalities between Parasite and Killa. Yeah. As we always do. Could ADV make that upset round 1, Matthew?
I think they can take a map.
Yeah.
They can make it interesting. Yeah. I think they can make it pretty close. They can make it interesting. I don't think they'll win that series. I think Killa's a different guy on land and in person. That guy, he wants to win more.
So good.
Anything. I would team with a guy like that.
Yeah,
that would, if I was playing, that would be one of the guys. I would be like that. I'm playing with that guy. I don't think he's gonna let that happen to LV. They're looking extremely shaky right now, but I don't think he's gonna go down like that.
All right, man. It is rapid fire bracket predictions time. As we bring up this graphic, we're just gonna hold it up here on the screen basically the entire time, and we're just gonna kind of cruise through it, starting at the top left, working ourselves all the way down. So, Complexity final boss. I think we both kind of agree on this one that Complexity wins 3-1. They may lose like a dom.
Yeah, I agree. It would either be a 3-1 or a 3-0. I think final bosses looked very good coming over, but that call train's not something you want in the first round.
Moving down, Strictly Business versus Denial. This one we saw a little bit differently, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think Strictly Business is gonna go ahead and take it, and I'm gonna say why. I think SB is one of the teams who, even though they've been performing recently on LAN, they did very, very well at UMG, I still think the other teams aren't giving them the credit they deserve. Saints is an absolute monster. If his head's on right, it's basically all she wrote for the other team. We've seen it happen in Black Ops 2, and we see it happen in Ghost. On the same side, Censor, who reminds me of Nick Merckx from the Gears of War community, is one hell of a leader. And he's super dedicated. He's that player who always brings the drive. So with that said, I don't see any way in hell that Strictly Business can go out first round. So go ahead.
No. The only way I can see that being a close game, is if, let's say, Strictly Business loses one of the first 2 games, somebody makes a bad play and they start arguing a little bit. Denial's got a very good search game with Bizzer. But, all in all, I'd agree that Strictly Business will take that series. It has the potential to go the distance, though. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I think that series could go the distance.
Moving down, Optic Gaming taking on Elevate. For a little bit of a background here, Elevate knocked Optic Gaming out. It was a completely different roster at UMG Philly for both teams. So looking at it, I think you'd be foolish to say that Optic would be going out. 1, because you would get bombarded with fans, and 2, because Optic's been looking extremely dominant online.
No, Optic's been looking really good online lately. I think that, like we said when we did the first show for that side of the bracket, that's what we saw before all their other tournaments, that they were looking extremely good online. I don't think this roster, though, is like all the other rosters. This is a much better talent-wise than those rosters. From top to bottom. So for sure. I think Optic's going to be, they're going to win that first round matchup, probably 3-0.
Optic advances to round 2. Envious versus TVA. Although it is a battle of coaches and former coaches and retired players, I still think Envious is going to kind of just wipe the floor with TVA. I think if there's going to be a 3-0 in round 1, I think Envious will deliver it to TVA.
Yeah, I think Envy will win this. It'll be tough for Mud Dog to lose to the former team that he coached, But, Ray's been looking extremely well coming back from that little hiatus going into coaching for a little bit, we'll call it. So, I'll say Envy will win that, probably 3-0. I agree. That should be should be one that they should get pretty easy.
Yep. Jumping to the top side, Curse Las Vegas versus ADV. I'm going to go ahead and say Curse Las Vegas wins in a shaky game 5. And the only reason I say that is because it's going to be round 1. They're not going to be used to it. They're going to be casually coming off their planes, maybe a little bit jet lagged, maybe just excited to be at the regional event, and it's just not going to go well. I think they win the first dom, they lose the blitz and the search, they win the next dom, and it goes game 5, and they close out.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see this one going the distance as well. I agree with you. I think LV pulls it out in that game 5, but I can definitely see them losing, maybe a search and a blitz, and they'd end up going to game 5.
Yep. FaZe versus Curse New York. Matt, go first.
I'm gonna take FaZe 3-1.
Ooh, FaZe 3-1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go FaZe 3-2, and I'm gonna say Curse New York. I'm going to say they go down 2-0. Curse New York wins game 3. Then they win the following dom. FaZe pulls out in the game 5. I like the epic, man. I like the epic. The thing that's scary is that I could see Curse New York making that upset, but I put more stock in the veteran players than I do with Curse New York.
Right. Like, I can see Curse New York taking the blitz, FaZe is a little bit shaky on blitz just from the way their players play and their play style. I see FaZe winning both doms fairly easy. FaZe is a pretty good dom game, one of the best out of anybody. They use those double nades.
Yeah, the double nades, man, just crush people.
It really crushes people. So I can see them winning those first 2 doms. This search will be close, and then I can see, NY sneaking out the blitz.
TK taking on Living the Dream. I'm going to go ahead and say this one's going to be 3-1 in favor of Team KALIBER. I don't see Living the Dream making that upset. So they're living the road to the losers bracket.
Yeah, I can see I see TK winning 3-1 as well. I see maybe that first event, their big spotlight, a little bit jitter from maybe formal for a little bit, but I think once they get settled in, I think it'll be a pretty easy way for TK for that one.
Last and final matchup, Sigma taking on Justice.
Yeah.
You put the upset in my head.
In your head, right?
If it's gonna happen, and we have no upsets round 1, so it's basically like, really the upsets are gonna start coming in round 2. Unless strictly business or denial doesn't go according to plan, or FaZe versus Curse New York. But looking at it, I think Justice safely takes it about 3-1.
I'm gonna say Sigma's gonna win 3-1.
Woo!
I think Sigma's gonna win that one 3-1.
God, Big Snacks is gonna punch you in the throat.
I know, it's not that I don't I love that Justice team, but the matchup just doesn't sit well with me, and Sigma's been playing really well online, and they have players that can create like an energy type presence at a LAN, where it gets everybody fired up and everybody gets going. Yeah. And Justice has Neslo. Neslo's a loud guy like that. The other players that aren't as loud, Gucci's pretty loud. Tipsy can get loud, but I really see that Sigma team coming out. I think they're vexed now, but I'm going to say Sigma's going to win that 3-1. I like Sigma. I think they're a good team.
You're wild, bro. All right, so Matt,
I think
we have our predictions out. One of the hottest topics right now to date, just to close out this show, just because someone has to bring it to fruition. Obviously, it's on Twitter, but, right now, as it stands, the players attending regionals and those players going to COD Champs who advance have no idea what console they are going to be playing on.
Yeah.
Now, some of you may sit back and go, Scott, that doesn't make logical sense. Well, it is. There's been complications on some end or another, and I'm not sure what exactly is going on. I don't think many people do. I think it's more of an internal thing, maybe with Infinity Ward. We all have no idea. All we know is that there is a dilemma between the Xbox 360 ghost and the Xbox One ghost. So with that said, Matt, what the hell happens?
It's a little bit of a mess going into regionals. They haven't announced the system yet that it's going to be on. Personally, I'd love to see it on Xbox One. I think the game looks beautiful on Xbox One. I love how the Xbox One plays, the controller. I'm a big fan of the Xbox One. You got mine last week. I've been playing it ever since. Huge upgrade over the 360. Once they figure out some dashboard issues.
Yep, I agree.
How all of them work in a room together? I have no idea.
So I think we both stand with the Xbox One, but I think right now, like you almost have to do the Xbox One just because, you kind of announced before that it was on the Xbox One, and now it's like, oh, what's actually going to happen here? So I think you have to do the Xbox One just because players bought it. But as we are running out of time here, on behalf of myself and Matthew and UGC Studios, we love you, but we don't love you. Take it easy.